From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Senator Bernie Sanders has introduced a bill to stop any U.S. military action against Iran without prior congressional approval. The No War Against Iran Act would block federal funds for military operations unless used for self-defense, as allowed by the War Powers Act. Sanders was joined by 7 other Democratic senators, including Elizabeth Warren and Peter Welch. He slammed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's recent strikes on Iran, calling them reckless and a violation of international law. Sanders warned that the U.S. must not get pulled into what he called Netanyahu's war of choice. He also criticized President Donald Trump, saying he had no authority to start a new war in the Middle East without approval from Congress. The legislation comes amid rising tensions after Israel's air and drone strikes on Iranian military and nuclear sites last Friday. Iran responded with missile attacks, raising fears of a wider regional war. Free Palestine activist Mahmood Khalil is seeking release or transfer from an Immigration and Customs Enforcement or ICE jail in Louisiana. His lawyers have asked a federal judge to move him to a facility in New Jersey, his home state, after his bail request was rejected. Khalil, a Columbia University graduate, was arrested in New York in March and transferred over 1,300 miles away to Louisiana. The government initially argued that he posed a threat to U.S. foreign policy. However, a judge dismissed that claim, but upheld a second charge related to alleged omissions on his green card application. Khalil has not been charged with any crime. His lawyers, backed by the American Civil Liberties Union, say the detention is political and baseless. They accuse the Trump administration of targeting Khalil for protesting against Israel's genocide in Gaza. Khalil's wife, Noor Abdullah, called the detention unjust and vowed to keep fighting. She said, "We will not be intimidated. Mahmoud will be free." President Donald Trump has called for the immediate evacuation of Tehran amid soaring tensions between Israel and Iran. Posting on his Truth social platform on Monday, Trump declared everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. He accused Iran of rejecting a proposed deal and reiterated, "Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've said it over and over again." The statement comes as conflict intensifies following Israel's airstrikes on Iranian military and nuclear sites last week. Tehran has since launched retaliatory missile attacks, sparking fears of a wider regional war. Trump's warning adds to growing international alarm over the escalating crisis. Former President Barack Obama has urged Americans to treat immigrant families with dignity and end their demonization. Speaking on social media, Obama recalled his administration's policy, which protected undocumented youth brought to the U.S. as children. He called it an example of balancing the country's values as both a nation of immigrants and laws. Obama said families with similar backgrounds are now being treated as enemies. He stressed the urgent need for immigration reform. The former president's remarks come amid renewed debate on immigration under the Trump administration's stricter policies and reduced protections for undocumented migrants. The American Bar Association, or ABA, has filed a lawsuit against President Donald Trump's administration. The ABA accuses it of intimidating law firms through what it calls a calculated law firm intimidation policy. ABA President William Bay called the lawsuit a fight to defend lawyers and preserve democracy. Filed in a Washington federal court, the suit claims Trump used executive power to punish or pressure law firms into abandoning clients and causes he dislikes. The ABA says executive orders, public threats, and backroom deals were used to scare legal professionals from challenging the administration or supporting opposing policies. 3 top firms won court orders blocking these directives, while others, like Paul Weiss and Kirkland and Ellis, signed controversial deals with Trump to avoid similar action. The ABA warns that this chilling effect endangers the rule of law, with many lawyers backing out of cases against the government. The White House has yet to respond. New York's Muslim mayoral hopeful Zohran Mamdani has accused a super PAC that is supporting his rival Andrew Cuomo of blatant Islamophobia. In a campaign flyer aimed at Jewish voters, the group Fix the City allegedly altered Mamdani's photo, darkening his beard and manipulating his image. This comes as Mamdani gains momentum in the polls ahead of the Democratic primary next Tuesday. If he is elected, he would become New York's first Muslim mayor. Mamdani, who is outspoken in his criticism of Israel's genocide in Gaza, called the doctored flyer an attempt to stir fear and prejudice. Fix the City claims the version of the flyer Mamdani shared was a draft, which was later corrected before being released. Como is backed by figures like former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg and is facing growing pressure as the race tightens. Analysts see the contest as a battle for the soul of the Democratic Party, saying it pits Como's establishment politics against Mamdani's progressive working-class platform. The Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, plans to file a lawsuit against Maryland's Montgomery County Board of Education for banning Palestinian flags at a local school. Sligo Middle School reportedly prohibited a teacher from displaying a small Palestinian flag. This was while the school allowed flags of other nations, including Israel's. CAIR says the teacher had displayed multiple flags on her door for over a year without issue. Only the Palestinian flag was targeted and removed, with the school's principal allegedly citing controversy. CAIR argues the ban violates the First Amendment's protection of free speech and is discrimination based on viewpoint. A recent report issued by the Muslim Civil Rights Organization found a rise in censorship and discrimination against those voicing solidarity with Palestinians. CAIR says the case follows similar complaints in Pennsylvania, where students and teachers were penalized for wearing or displaying Palestinian symbols. The Trump administration is considering expanding its travel ban. This and more coming up next. The Trump administration is considering expanding its travel ban to include 36 African countries. An internal State Department cable reported by news agencies cites multiple reasons for their inclusion. These include poor passport security, unreliable identity documents, and a refusal to accept deported nationals. Terrorism, anti-Semitism, and anti-American activities have also been cited as reasons for the ban. Nations under review include U.S. allies like Egypt, Nigeria, and Kenya. These countries have been given 60 days to address U.S. concerns or face partial or full travel restrictions. The U.S. has already imposed travel bans on Sudan and Somalia, among others. Analysts say that the policy, if implemented, may affect travel, diplomacy, and migration across Africa. Desperate Palestinians in Gaza's Beit Lahia rushed to an aid center on Monday, scrambling for limited food supplies. Many returned to shelters with only a few bags of flour and basic rations. Israel has blocked humanitarian aid, food, and medicine into Gaza since March 2nd, worsening the humanitarian disaster. UN agencies warn that Gaza's entire population of 2.1 million now faces crisis or worse levels of food insecurity. Israel killed at least 63 Palestinians and injured hundreds in attacks across Gaza on Tuesday, according to health officials. Israeli forces opened fire on civilians gathering for food aid at the Al Tahliya roundabout in Khan Yunis, killing 51 people and wounding 200. 4 more died in an Israeli strike on a displacement tent near a wedding hall, and others died in separate strikes on shelters and homes in Deir al-Balah and the Nusayrat camp. Israel killed a young girl in northern Gaza, while sniper fire claimed 2 more lives in southern Gaza City. Despite international calls for a ceasefire, Israel's offensive continues, with more than 64,000 Palestinians killed since it began its genocide in October 2023. Israel faces war crimes charges at the International Criminal Court and a genocide case at the International Court of Justice. 21 Arab and Muslim countries, led by Egypt, have condemned Israel's continued airstrikes on Iran. In a joint statement, they urged immediate de-escalation, respect for sovereignty, and nuclear disarmament without selectivity. The signatories include Turkey, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Pakistan, Jordan, and others. The foreign ministers called Israel's attacks a violation of international law and the UN Charter. They expressed deep concern over the spiraling conflict, warning of grave threats to regional stability. The statement demanded a halt to hostilities and a comprehensive ceasefire. The call comes after deadly strikes by both sides killed hundreds, largely in Iran and some in Israel, since Friday. Australian scientists have developed a groundbreaking AI model that deciphers words from brainwaves using a wearable electroencephalogram, or EEG cap. Created at the University of Technology, Sydney, the model translates thoughts into text with about 75% accuracy, aiming for 90%. It could transform communication for those with cognitive impairments and revolutionize how we interact with machines. Researchers are expanding trials to refine the system by analyzing more brainwave patterns. Experts say AI can now detect signal patterns the human eye has missed for decades. Future plans include enabling a real-time brain-to-brain communication using this cutting-edge neuro-AI breakthrough. The Israel-Iran war entered its 5th day today, with deadly attacks intensifying on both sides. Iran launched a fresh missile barrage at central Israel, striking Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. 10 people were injured, 5 seriously, as sirens blared and buildings were hit. Israel launched new airstrikes in western Iran, killing top Iranian military commander Ali Shadmani. Iran retaliated and reportedly hit intelligence targets in Tel Aviv, including Mossad and Amman offices, according to Iran's IRGC. Tehran confirmed using both missiles and drones. Iran's Fars News said 30 missiles were fired, some hitting Herzliya. The Israeli defense minister warned Iran's supreme leader of a fate like Iraqi President Saddam Hussein, who was caught, tried, and executed for war crimes almost 20 years ago. As panic spread, Iranians began evacuating Tehran. President Donald Trump has also urged Iranian civilians to leave the city immediately, warning Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Since Friday, Iran reports 224 dead and over 1,000 injured in Israeli strikes. Israel says 24 of its citizens have died. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. Please donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.